The detective's eyes burned into mine across that metal table. "Carlos, we know your father's firm cooked the books. We've got paper trails leading straight to his office." My hands trembled as I gripped the edge of my chair. Dad had built Morrison and Associates from nothing, put me through Howard University, gave our community jobs when nobody else would. The thought of him in an orange jumpsuit made my stomach turn. "It was me," I heard myself say. "All of it. My father knew nothing." Detective Rivera leaned back, surprised. "You're 24 years old, Carlos. You really want to throw your life away?" I thought about Dad's heart condition, how Mom's death 3 years ago nearly killed him too. I handled the accounts. I got greedy. Dad trusted me, and I betrayed that trust. My voice cracked on the last words, but I maintained eye contact. The lie tasted like copper in my mouth. That night, Dad visited me in holding. Through the plexiglass, his face showed relief mixed with something I couldn't quite read. "Son, you didn't have to do this." "Yes, I did," I said firmly. "The business, the employees, your legacy, it all matters more than me doing a few years. I'm young. I'll bounce back." He placed his palm against the glass. I matched it with mine. "I'll take care of everything while you're gone. I promise." Those words would haunt me for 7 years. The judge showed no mercy. "White-collar crime destroys communities, Mr. Morrison. 7 years, federal prison." As they led me away in chains, Dad stood in the gallery, tears streaming down his face. Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary smelled like industrial cleaner and crushed dreams. My cellmate, an older brother named Reuben, took one look at me and shook his head. "College boy, huh? What'd you do?" "Financial fraud," I muttered, unpacking my limited belongings. "Took the fall for your pops," he said matter-of-factly. It wasn't a question. I froze. "How'd you know?" Reuben laughed bitterly. "Seen it before. That look in your eyes, guilt mixed with pride. You think you're being noble." Those first months were brutal. I kept my head down, worked in the prison library, and wrote Dad every week. His responses came regularly at first, full of updates about the business recovering, promises to visit soon, assurances that my sacrifice meant something. "The community knows you're a good man who made a mistake," one letter read. "When you get out, you'll have a place waiting at the firm. We'll rebuild together." I held on to those words during lockdowns, during fights in the yard, during endless nights when regret chewed at my insides. Year 2, Dad's letters became monthly. "Business is demanding," he wrote, "but I'm setting money aside for your release. You'll want for nothing." I understood. Running a firm took time. Year 3, the letters arrived every few months. Shorter, more distant. "Everything's fine here. Focus on your rehabilitation." I tried calling on my designated phone time. The office receptionist, Mrs. Moore, always said he was in meetings. "Tell him Carlos called," I'd say every time. "I will, baby," she'd promise, her voice strange. Strained. By year 4, the letters stopped completely. "Your father hasn't written in 8 months, Reuben observed, watching me stare at the empty mail slot again. "Something's wrong." I'd been thinking the same thing. That night, I used my limited phone privileges to call Dad's cell. Disconnected. I tried the house. A robotic voice informed me the number was no longer in service. Panic rising, I called my cousin Patty. She was the only other family I had, though we'd never been particularly close. "Carlos." Her voice cracked when she answered. "Oh my God, Carlos." "Yeah, it's me. Patty, I can't reach Dad. What's going on?" Silence stretched so long I thought we'd been disconnected. "Patty." "Carlos, we thought you were dead." The words didn't make sense. "What are you talking about?" "I'm in Lewisburg. I've been writing Dad. Uncle Thomas told everyone you died 2 years ago. In prison. He said there was a riot and you," she broke down sobbing. My mind went blank. The phone nearly slipped from my shaking hands. "That's impossible. I'm right here. I'm alive. He had a funeral, Carlos. A whole funeral. I cried for weeks. We all did. Where is he? Put him on the phone. He moved. Sold the house. Married some young woman named Destiny and moved to Miami. Carlos, he collected life insurance on you. The guard signaled my time was up. Patty, I need you to listen carefully. I'm alive. I'm getting out in 3 years. Don't tell Dad. Don't tell anyone. Carlos, promise me. I promise, she whispered. I hung up and walked back to my cell in a daze. Reuben found me the next morning, staring at the ceiling, eyes red from crying and rage. Talk to me, young blood. I told him everything. When I finished, his jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscles jumping. That's some cold-blooded shit, he said finally. What you gonna do? I don't know yet. But I've got 3 years to figure it out. Reuben helped me file requests for my own documents, prisoner records, anything that proved I was alive. The prison counselor, Ms. Washington, a sister in her 50s who'd seen everything, pulled me aside. Carlos Morrison, I heard what happened. That man declared you dead while you're breathing and walking. Yes, Baby, that's fraud. Multiple kinds. You know you can report this. Not yet, I said. I need to understand what I'm dealing with first. Through Patty, who became my secret connection to the outside, I learned the details. Dad had taken out $1 million life insurance policy on me right before I went in. Claimed I died in a prison riot that never happened. Filed false death certificates. Collected the payout. Married Destiny, a 28-year-old Instagram model, and bought a beachfront condo in South Beach. The firm? Sold. Employees laid off. Everything liquidated. He's living like a king down there, Patty told me during one monitored call, speaking in careful code. New cars, boats, fancy restaurants. Posts everything online. Send me screenshots. Everything you can. I started a file. Evidence. Documentation. My rage transformed into something cold and precise. Year 5, I became a model prisoner. Took every self-improvement class offered. Got my paralegal certification through the prison education program. Studied law in the library until the words blurred on the page. Reuben watched my transformation with knowing eyes. You're building yourself into a weapon, he said. Good. But don't let it consume you. He took 7 years of my life, Reuben. He took my 20s. He let me rot in here while he spent money from my fake death, sleeping with someone younger than me, living my life. And you're gonna make him pay. I see it. Just don't lose yourself in the process. But I was already lost. Every spare moment went to planning. Through Patty, I hired a private investigator named Carlos, same name as me, which felt like fate. He dug up everything, bank records showing the insurance payout, photos of Dad and Destiny at charity galas, social media posts flaunting wealth, transaction histories showing exactly how my death money was spent. $50,000 on a boat. $80,000 on Destiny's breasts and face. Luxury cars, designer clothes, a wedding that cost more than most people's houses. Meanwhile, I wore the same prison-issued clothes, ate from metal trays, and showered with 40 other men. The injustice of it fueled me like rocket fuel. Ms. Washington checked on me regularly. Carlos, you're one of the brightest young men I've ever counseled. Don't let bitterness poison what you're building. I am not bitter, I lied. I'm focused. Focused on revenge. Focused on justice. There's a difference. She didn't look convinced, but she didn't push. Year 6 brought unexpected news. Reuben was getting paroled. Gonna miss you, young blood, he said the night before his release. You taught me how to survive in here. How to think differently. And you taught me that taking the fall for someone else is the stupidest thing a smart man can do. He gripped my shoulder hard. When you get out, don't become like him. Don't let what he did turn you into something ugly. Get your justice, but keep your soul. I'll try. Don't try. Do it. After Reuben left, the loneliness hit different. But I kept working. The PI sent me a bombshell. Dad had taken out a second insurance policy on me 6 months before declaring me dead. This wasn't opportunistic. It was premeditated. He'd planned this. Before I even went to trial, he was setting up my fake death. The man I'd sacrificed everything for had always intended to betray me. That revelation broke something in me, but it also clarified everything. This wasn't a father who made a terrible mistake. This was a con man who used his son's love as a weapon. I requested a meeting with a federal prosecutor through official channels, claiming information about insurance fraud. They sent a young attorney named Jasmine Brooks. Mr. Morrison, what information do you have? I'm the victim of the fraud, I said, sliding my compiled evidence across the table. My father declared me dead, collected life insurance, and is currently living in Miami. As you can see, I'm very much alive. Her eyes widened as she read. This is extensive. Why didn't you report this sooner? Because I wanted to be thorough, I told Jasmine, watching her flip through page after page of evidence. Bank statements, death certificates, insurance payouts, photos of Dad living large in Miami while I rotted in federal prison for his crimes. Mr. Morrison, this is one of the most clear-cut cases of insurance fraud I've ever seen. But I have to ask, why were you in prison? I'd prepared for this question. Financial fraud. I took responsibility for crimes at my father's firm. Her expression shifted. She understood without me saying more. You took the fall for him. Yes, And while I was in here, serving 7 years for protecting his reputation, he was planning my death and cashing in on it. Jasmine gathered the documents carefully. I'll bring this to the FBI. Federal wire fraud, insurance fraud, filing false government documents. Your father is looking at serious time. Do you want to press charges? With everything I have. Good. We'll need you to testify. Can you do that? I met her eyes. I've spent 6 years preparing to do exactly that. 3 months later, federal agents raided Dad's Miami condo. Patty sent me the news article, prominent former businessman arrested for $1 million insurance fraud. The photo showed Dad in handcuffs, looking old and confused, Destiny crying in the background wearing a bikini that cost more than my commissary account for 6 years. I stared at that photo for hours. Felt nothing. No satisfaction. No vindication. Just cold, empty fury. Ms. Washington noticed the change in me. Carlos, you won your case. Why do you look like you lost? Because it doesn't bring back the time, I said, voice hollow. 6 years, Ms. Washington. I was 24 when I came in. I'm 30 now. My 20s are gone. I missed everything, dating, career building, living. And for what? For a man who planned my death while I was protecting him. But you're getting justice. Justice doesn't give me back 6 years. She sat across from me, expression soft with understanding. No, it doesn't. But it gives you your future. You're getting out in 1 year, Carlos. You're educated, you're strong, you've built yourself into someone remarkable despite everything. Don't waste your future on past pain. I wanted to believe her. But that night, lying in my bunk, all I could think about was Dad in that condo, laughing with Destiny, spending my death money while I counted down days in a cage. The preliminary hearing happened via video conference. I saw Dad for the first time in 6 years. He'd aged, gotten heavier, wore expensive clothes that Destiny probably picked out. When he saw me on the screen, his face went white. Carlos, he whispered. Hey, Dad, I said coldly. Surprise. I'm not dead. His lawyer, some slick Miami type, tried to argue mistaken identity, bureaucratic errors, misunderstandings. The prosecutor destroyed him in minutes. Your client filed a death certificate for his son who was in federal prison, very much alive. He collected $1.2 million in insurance payouts. He married and spent that money lavishly while his son served time for crimes Mr. Morrison himself committed. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is calculated fraud. The judge set bail at $500,000. Destiny left Dad before the bail hearing ended. Patty sent me the Instagram post, "I will not stand by a man who betrayed his own son. I was deceived about everything. My prayers are with Carlos Morrison." Comments flooded in, mostly people calling her a gold digger, but some defending her. I didn't care either way. She was just another person who'd benefited from my suffering. The trial was set for 2 months after my release date. Perfect timing. I spent my last year in Lewisburg preparing my victim impact statement, working with Jasmine to build an airtight case, and planning my reentry into the world. Ruben called from the outside every week. "How you holding up?" "One day at a time." "You got a job lined up?" Jasmine connected me with a law firm that specializes in wrongful conviction cases. They want me to start as a paralegal, eventually go to law school. "That's good, young blood. Real good. You're turning this poison into medicine." Trying to. But the poison was still there, eating at me. 3 weeks before my release, Dad's lawyer requested a meeting. I almost refused, but curiosity won. Dad looked terrible on the video screen. Thinner, grayer, broken. "Carlos, son, I need to explain. Don't call me son. Please, just listen." The business was failing. I was desperate. The insurance seemed like a way out, but I never meant. "You planned it before I even went to trial," I said, voice like ice. 6 months before you declared me dead, you took out that second policy. You intended this from the start. His face crumbled. I was scared. The debts, the pressure. You were scared. I leaned toward the camera, letting him see the rage I'd been containing for 7 years. You were scared? I was 24 years old, Dad. I confessed to your crimes. I gave up my freedom, my 20s, my entire life to protect you. And you repaid me by erasing me, cashing in on my fake corpse, and fucking someone young enough to be your daughter with my death money. Carlos, please, you know what scared is? Scared is being in a federal prison, surrounded by men who'd kill you for commissary money, wondering why your father stopped writing. Scared is finding out you're legally dead while you're breathing. Scared is realizing the person you sacrificed everything for planned your betrayal from the beginning. Tears ran down his face. I felt nothing. I'm sorry, he sobbed. I'm so sorry. I'll plead guilty. I'll do whatever you want. Just please, don't hate me. I'm your father. No, I said quietly. You're the man who wore my father's face. My father died the day he decided his son's life was worth $1 million. And you know what? Hit subscribe if you believe families should protect each other, not exploit them. Only users and manipulators won't subscribe. The lawyer looked confused by my last statement, but I didn't care. I was done. I ended the call and walked away. The next day, Dad's lawyer filed a guilty plea to all charges. He was facing 15 to 20 years, more than double what I'd served for his crimes. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Ms. Washington pulled me aside during my final week. You did it, Carlos. You won. Then why don't I feel like I won? Release day arrived on a Tuesday morning. I walked out of Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary with 2 boxes of belongings, $2,000 in saved commissary funds, and a hole where my 20s should have been. Patty was waiting in the parking lot, older now, with 2 kids in the backseat I'd never met. We hugged for a long time. Welcome back to the world, cousin. The world was different. Smartphones everywhere, new slang, social media platforms I didn't recognize. I felt like Rip Van Winkle, except I'd been awake the whole time, just locked away. Patty drove me to a halfway house in Philadelphia where I'd live while transitioning. The law firm job starts Monday, she said. Jasmine set everything up. She believes in you, Carlos. Someone should. I believe in you too. What you survived, what you overcame, that's strength. Don't waste it on bitterness. Everyone kept telling me not to be bitter, but bitterness was the only thing that felt real. The halfway house was clean, institutional, not much different from prison. My roommate was a guy named Tell, out after 12 years for drug charges. What were you in for? He asked. Taking the fall for my father's fraud. He declared me dead and collected life insurance while I was inside. Tell whistled low. Damn. That's cold. What happened to him? He's awaiting sentencing. Looking at 15 to 20 years. Good. If you can't stand people like Carlos's father, comment family means loyalty. That man deserves everything coming to him. I smiled slightly. First genuine smile in years. Yeah, he does. That weekend, I visited Mom's grave. Standing at Mom's headstone, I finally broke. 7 years of contained emotion poured out in ugly, gasping sobs. I'm sorry, Mama, I whispered to the granite marker. I tried to protect his legacy like you would have wanted. I tried to be the good son. And he destroyed me for it. The cemetery was empty except for birds and wind. Nobody to witness my collapse. I don't know who I am anymore, I continued. I went in as a kid who believed in family and honor. I'm coming out as, what? Someone who can't trust anyone? Someone who gave up everything for a lie. A hand touched my shoulder. I spun, startled. An older woman stood there, maybe 60, with kind eyes. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to intrude. I visit my husband here. Couldn't help but overhear. It's fine, I said, wiping my face. You're Jennifer Morrison's son, she said suddenly. I recognize you from the old neighborhood. I'm Mrs. White. Your mother and I were in book club together. The name clicked. I remember you. I heard what happened. Both what you did and what your father did. She paused. Your mother would be heartbroken about your father's betrayal, but so proud of who you've become despite it. I'm a convicted felon with no career, no family, no life. You're a survivor who maintained his integrity even when betrayed by the person who should have protected you. That's who you are, Carlos. Don't let his evil define you. We talked for an hour. She told me stories about Mom I'd never heard, reminded me of the values Mom instilled: honesty, resilience, compassion. Your father lost those values. Don't let him take yours too. Dad's sentencing hearing was packed. News media, former employees of Morrison and Associates, community members who'd believed I was dead. I sat in the front row, Jasmine beside me. The judge, a black woman in her 60s named Judge Hamilton, read through the charges with cold precision. Mr. Morrison, you orchestrated one of the most heartless frauds this court has seen. You allowed your son to take responsibility for your crimes, then declared him dead for profit while he served your time. You destroyed lives, betrayed trust, and showed no remorse until facing consequences. Dad stood, looking small and defeated. I take full responsibility, Your Honor. You should have taken responsibility 7 years ago, she snapped. Instead, you let your son rot in prison while you lived in luxury bought with his fake death. Mr. Morrison, do you have anything to say? I stood when invited to read my impact statement. The courtroom went silent. I was 24 when I confessed to protect my father. I believed family meant sacrifice, loyalty, protection. I was wrong. Family should be mutual. My father taught me that love can be weaponized, trust can be fatal, and the people closest to you can hurt you deepest. But he also taught me what kind of man I refused to become. I'm 31 now. I lost my 20s to his crime and his greed. But I'm reclaiming my future. I'm becoming a lawyer to help people like me, people betrayed by those they trusted. My father took 7 years. He won't take one more day. Judge Hamilton nodded slowly. Thomas Morrison, I sentence you to 18 years in federal prison. You will also pay full restitution of $1.2 million plus interest. Court adjourned. As they led him away, Dad looked back at me one last time. I met his eyes and felt nothing. He was already gone. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. I gave one statement: if you believe people should face consequences for betrayal, comment "Justice Matters." My father's story is a cautionary tale about what happens when greed destroys integrity. I walked away from that courthouse feeling lighter. Reuben called that night. Saw the news. Young blood. How you feeling? Free, I said. Finally free. 6 months later, I started law school. My story went viral. The son who took the fall and got betrayed. Law firms offered internships. Patty helped me reconnect with community. I started dating again. Carefully. And every day, I chose not to let Dad's betrayal define my future. He took 7 years. I'm taking back the rest of my life. That's the real victory. Comment below if you believe everyone deserves respect and that manipulators like Thomas Morrison should face justice. Subscribe if you stand against people who exploit their own family. Only toxic people won't hit that button. I'm Carlos Morrison, and I survived my father. You can survive your betrayals too.